and welcome to a new episode of Connected from Home, where we stay home, stay safe, yet refuse to be disconnected. We connect with different people from all around the world, get to know more about them, seek inspiration, and have fun. In this episode of Connected from Home, our guests are two Bahraini artists who participated in the latest Berlin art show. They're Yasmin Sharabi and Mohammed Al-Abbar, also known as Leon D. Let's give them a call now, get to know more about their artwork and journey with art. Hello, Yasmin. I want you to tell me how you felt when your artwork was displayed in Berlin, and tell me the story.
It was the first time that I've ever exhibited internationally, like shown my artwork internationally. I mean, usually if I've taken part in exhibitions, it's been from curating or working with my current work. And plus I was really interested in working with the other artists that were participating. So there's obviously, like Leon D, Mohammed Al-Abbar. And what was interesting about us was that even though not necessarily all of us are Bahraini or even live in Bahrain, everyone was inspired by the time that they've spent here. So to me, it was like a great opportunity to showcase my work in a city that I love, but also just to show my work at a time that I wasn't able to travel myself. And I felt like it was sending a part of myself abroad. So yeah, it was just a great opportunity. And it's gotten a great amount of attention that we're really proud of. And what's also interesting about it is that we've all shown kind of work that's inspired by Bahrain's landscape. So I think indirectly or not, it kind of talks a lot about cultural preservation and the beauty of the landscape and protection of our heritage and our traditions. And so that was how it all started.
Displaying pieces of art that are inspired by Bahrain, you and other artists. So what were the reactions by the audience?
I think that people react. Berlin's such a great city and people are so open to learning about new cultures and different nationalities. And so it was just really positive. What was interesting is that because we couldn't be present, so Ali was obviously present, but Leon, Patrick, and I were not. So we set up a Zoom call. So we were actually in the gallery and we were able to see people coming in. And if people wanted to, they could come and talk to us. So that was like a nice addition too, considering the circumstances. People came and said hi and told us how much they liked our work. As far as publicity, we've gotten some good publicity. Also thanks to Frances and her contacts and to another girl that helped us a lot with the PR. She has a PR company based in Berlin. So we've gotten... it's just been really positive. And I think that it's inspiring to people to see that despite the circumstances, we were still willing to grab hold of opportunities, that it's so important to just keep going and to continue creating. And when an opportunity presents itself, you grab hold of it, and that will always lead to positive reactions,
Has this always been your dream? Were you an artist since you were a little girl? What's the story?
Yeah, I think that my family are generally very artistic. Both of my sisters are artists, so it's something that I always knew I would be doing. I never
runs in the family.
Yeah, exactly. My mom's a musician. My dad says he was artistic when he was younger, but he became a banker. We're all very open to learning about new forms of creativity and I always knew that it was something that I was going to be involved in to some extent. And although I went to art school in Canada, I'd never really focused on my own work as much, like my personal drawings or paintings, because I was always doing other things, I think I was avoiding it as well because I was afraid that I was going to be disappointed in what I was going to create. But I've learned as I've gotten older that you have to keep going, and you have to force yourself to learn, and you have to also do things that you're afraid of doing, like me doing this interview.
But look at you now. So you were afraid of you being disappointed in yourself, and look at you now. You're exhibiting internationally. You're getting
Yeah,
positive
very
comments
true.
from
And I
international
really hope,
audience.
yeah, that's very true. And I really hope that inspires people to do the same. It's really so important that when you focus on things that you know you're meant to be doing deep down, and you do it to your best ability, whatever that is. It doesn't have to be perfect in the eyes of the world, but when you do it to the best of your ability, when you give it your all, it's automatically going to be well received somehow, and you're going to be happy with the results, you know? So that's been an interesting thing that I've learned too through all of this.
Okay, tell me a comment that you got regarding your artwork that you won't forget.
Um, a lot of people say that they're hyper realistic, like because my drawings are so, what I do is I draw from photographs, and so I like to document real scenes of things that I've seen, like snapshots that I've seen when I've traveled, and they're always of snapshots that were somehow really struck me as meaningful, and so I feel that what's interesting about them as well is that, this day and age, we take photos left and right. We don't even think about what we're taking photos of. The act of taking photos has kind of lost its allure, I think. But through my process of trying to document something to such a realistic extent, I hope that people are able to feel the moment rather than just see it. And so when other people notice that through my drawings, when they tell me that they were able to really feel something different by looking at them, by seeing the detail and the gestures, and noticing how long it must have taken me, that to me it means everything. I think also, like, I want to really, thank Frances for like supporting me always. I mean, she's always seen the beauty in my work, and without her support, I don't know if I would have gone ahead with this exhibition. She just kept telling me, "You're so good. You need to like show your work," you know?
So what's your favorite piece of art? Your favorite, I don't know, artwork. When once you finished, you said, "This is it. This is the best."
The drawing that I did of when in 2014 and 2016, I visited a place called Lamu Old Town, and it's in Lamu, Kenya. So Lamu is is an archipelago of islands off of the coast of Kenya, and Lamu Old Town is the oldest still inhabited Swahili town in all of East Africa. And when I was there, I was so moved by the place, because you can see cultural similarities between Lamu and Bahrain. I mean, the narrow streets, the donkeys, the dhows, the smell of bukhur in the air when you're walking these narrow streets. There's no cars, so you feel that you're reliving the past, but in the present when you walk around. And I took a lot of photos, and one photo that I took in particular was of a friend of mine who's from Lamu, and she was lying down on an old, an antique Swahili daybed on the rooftop of the place that I was staying. And it was just a really beautiful moment. And whenever I look at that, people are so amazed, and it looks very real, but it's also that they're like, it's such a random scene. I don't know, there's just something about that drawing that I really love. It's something about the palm trees in it, I think. I don't know. But it's also because it reminds me of, it's nostalgic in some strange way.
You capture moments, but not into pictures. You convert them into artwork. So
yeah, exactly.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So
it's interesting.
I think this is the one that you had displayed in the Berlin Art Show, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's there now. Yeah, it's there, and a lot of people have used it on like social media and stuff. So I called it Miriam at the Factory, because Miriam is the woman that did the drawing of. And the factory is the place that I stayed, which was actually an old coconut oil factory that was converted into my host's home. So yeah, that's the name.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting journeys and interesting artwork.
Thanks. And I feel that it says also a lot about, you know, again, the necessity of preservation of our heritage here. You know, when you see something like that and it reaches out to people on such a level, like tourists that visit there are so in awe of it and amazed by it. It says so much about the need to preserve our culture and our landscape and our environment here. The things that the things that I noticed that were similar to Bahrain, like were cultural and traditional things that managed to like last through after hundreds of years of trade, when trade doesn't exist anymore, but hundreds of years ago it did, and the basket weaving and all of that, those were the things that stayed. You know? Yeah.
So what's the next step? What's the dream?
I just want to be the best that I can be, like as an artist, as far as my work as well, my daily work. I think I used to have really sort of big dreams, but I realize now that you just have to keep working at things. If I hadn't had this body of work, these drawings, I wouldn't have been able to take part in the exhibition in Berlin. So rather than look for opportunities and then work towards those opportunities, you just have to keep working, and then opportunities will arise if you're doing what you're meant to be doing. So for me, it's just to keep drawing and to keep learning through my work. It's always a process. I always try to be better at what I'm doing as well.
So you're an artist. Your work is displayed now in Berlin. It's going to be displayed in other places around the world. So what about your house? Do you have some of your artwork maybe hanging here or there on the walls or in a corner?
Yeah, well, actually, the three of the pieces I had hanging up, I sent to Berlin, but I have one here, actually, right behind me. It's a drawing. You can see it here. It looks like a drawing of an old photograph of a guy by a car.
Mm-hmm.
So it's actually, that is taken from, I inherited a lot of old photos of my grandmother's before she passed away, and that was from a tiny photograph. It was like about this big. Of my great-grandfather standing next to his car near their farmhouse. So I just enlarged it, and that was the. So I also do a lot of old drawings from old photographs as well, because my mom's heritage is actually American. She's from South Dakota, so I'm inspired by that as well as my Arab heritage, and I try to kind of combine and balance it out.
That's amazing. I think this makes you, I don't know, it enriches your imagination, makes you a better artist, you know, having a diversified background.
I think so. I think it opens me to different, and I become really appreciative of different cultures, and I appreciate the differences between both my mom's and my dad's. So yeah, I mean, it opens my mind, I guess, to different things or different ways of seeing, maybe.
Thank you so much, Yasmin, for being with us today, and keep up the good work. Keep up the beautiful artworks, and we'll be following your artwork and maybe your international presence in different exhibitions around the world.
Thanks so much, and I look forward to participating with other artists in Bahrain, abroad, eventually, hopefully in the future. And really, thanks for having me. It's been a pleasure.
The pleasure is certainly ours. Thank you. Hello, Mohammed. It's a pleasure to have you with us in this episode of Connected from Home, and fascinating pieces of art. Tell me more about them and tell me about your participation in the Berlin Art Show.
Hello, Hiba. Firstly, it's a pleasure to be on your show, and it's a pleasure to be able to convey my work, and work that is not just relevant to me, but it tells pictures of my own experience, whether here locally or from my experience from travels or people. So it's personal, but I think it's also relevant to people of Bahrain and the region. So this participation that we just had earlier, or I was part of, is a group exhibition we had in Berlin. So the story started as me communicating with a friend of mine, Fran Stafford, and she thought it would be interesting for a group of Bahraini artists or artists who had their participation in Bahrain showcasing their work in Berlin. It's interesting because we're in challenging times. I think a lot of people are occupied. Yes, they're keeping themselves safe, but maybe people don't see their own potentials or see potential in exhibiting or showing their work either on social media and physically somewhere else. So this exhibition is not a mean of just showcasing art, but it's a message of hope, and that's what we're trying as a group to do. So yeah, I'm here.
Yeah, a great message, and it's much needed now. Is this your first international participation?
No, it's my second, I believe. No, it's my third. So one of them was in Ural in England. I also had an exhibition showcase in Birmingham College of Art, curated by Tamada, the curator, and Nada Al-Arari, Tamada Al-Fahal and Nada Al-Arari. So that's my third opportunity to showcase internationally. But this time it's my first in Berlin.
Okay, so what were the reactions? Like, I know you have in Berlin an international audience, people not only from Berlin, people from all around the world. So, what were the reactions? What did people think about your pieces of art?
In exhibition, I don't tend to explain my work. So this time in this exhibition, it was challenging because I tend to be present physically in that space and look at people's reaction. But this time, me and my friends who showcased, we were on Zoom, the application, and we were trying to see people reaction. So we were in that event distantly, if that makes sense. It was unique, if I say, and the camera was targeted for longest time towards most of my work. So I noticed that a lot of people would stare at these pieces and they would look at details. So that's I think positive. That's constructive because people don't see the image holistically, but they would have this curiosity to go in, dive in, and see bits and pieces. Especially because my work has a lot of intricate lines and dots, and those tend to explain and show or tell stories.
I think your art can be a bit mysterious, so you get different comments from from observers, right? So maybe I can, I don't know, interpret the drawing or the piece of art in a way, and another person interprets it in another based on, I don't know, psychology, or based on characters, or based on, I don't know, things that they've seen or witnessed in their lives. So, like, maybe show me something that has very different illustrations by people.
Well,
Like,
before
for
I do that, I
example,
would say spot on because yeah, you reference a few key elements. I read a lot into psychology nowadays and see a few lectures. I'm a fan of Carl Jung. I like his archetype, and I'm interested on how I can sometimes interpret these, especially because I see them in day-to-day kind of experience. I'll show you some pencil work, smaller.
okay.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay, it's divided into two. There is a person flying between two worlds, right? There are two worlds here, and there's a person,
I like
don't
that.
know, falling from a world to another.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, is this the sunset, or maybe the circle? Is this the sunset? We know when it hides behind the sea, and this person is, I don't know, running after the sun.
There you go. If you actually wrote that, it would sound like some weird lyrics.
Okay, and
So
there's
anyways.
a teddy bear. There's a teddy bear up there. Yeah, that's a teddy bear. This is how I see it, and I like seeing a teddy bear. Teddy bear. It's not the tip of the iceberg. It's just the head of the teddy bear.
I like where you're going with this. This is fun. This is fun. It's more fun seeing how people interpret this and making it sort of their own. Now,
It seems
I
to be
like the
raining
saying.
on the teddy bear as well. The teddy bear,
So
there is rain up there from the different, I don't know, different shades. Is
it
this
looks
raining?
like rain. It does. It
It
does.
looks
Yeah,
like rain, right?
it does. It
Okay, so
does.
maybe the sun is drowning because it's raining, and the teddy bear is trying to save the sun, and this person is running after the sun, and
Right.
there's a weird fish down there trying to eat something, or maybe waiting for this human being to fall and then eat it.
Okay.
And there's a
I'll give.
finger there, and I don't know.
I'll reference to three different elements. Okay. Just to show
Okay,
you how I thought about it. Just to give you
okay.
um,
Yes, please.
an idea how we can see the same word differently. Though I made it, but you own your own interpretation of it, and that's what I
Yeah.
love. So this thing here looks like the a tiger or a tiger silhouette, right?
Uh-huh.
Somehow, somewhat,
Uh-huh.
it's an animalistic or it's an animal silhouette, right?
Uh-huh. Okay.
There is a floating guy, so we agree on this. There is a shape that looks like the sun, yeah, but the thing that you interpret it as the fish, and I like
Yeah.
that. I thought of
Eating
it as a
fish.
cloud. I thought of it as a cloud, as
Mm.
a 2D projected cloud.
Mm-hmm.
There's no right or wrong, but I'm now more fascinated in how you saw this. Okay, and I would love to hear more, not just from you, but anyone else who would see any of these pieces, because I would get to see my work differently from a fresh eye point of view. And I like the saying that once you put a piece of work out there publicly, you don't own it anymore. So this piece is no longer mine. It belongs to everyone. So this explanation is beautiful by itself. You own your own, and when you look at it with someone else, you might change your mind, but you might also prefer your own point of view or your own interpretation of it, and you might go like, oh, why did he do it like that? Or you compare ideas at the same time.
That's super cool, honestly. We can even post a picture and see what people think about it. Yeah, very
I'd
cool.
love to hear what people think of my
So,
work. Definitely.
you as a child, were you into drawing, painting, or
Mhm. I was brought up loving art, loving visual art specifically, and my family encouraged that. So me and my brother are very creative, and we grew up loving art. So he took an audible form of art. So he's a musician, and I pursued the visionary or the virtual, which is or the visual, which is in paintings and illustrations. But I never took art seriously until I went to university.
so. Tell me more about your artwork, the ones that you've chosen to be displayed in the Berlin Art Show.
So I sent my friend, the curator, 23 pieces, which I had three A3 size paintings, and the rest they were slightly smaller. So most of them are paintings, and I have about 9 pencil work. They all have similar theme to what I just showed, more of a bluish, sunsetty, beachy theme, and I think that somehow also relates to the environment. This place here, Bahrain. A lot of
Okay.
that, a lot of the influence actually came from here.
Did you feel that you're doing something for your country?
Definitely, definitely. Any opportunity for me to exhibit internationally is a credit. It's not is a credit not just for me, but it's also for Bahrain and all those talented new and creative generation that I'm living among. There are a lot of artists, there are a lot of creatives, there are a lot of scientists and engineers that I see and encounter every single day. Um, though Bahrain is small, but I don't think it's limited by its own size. So me putting artwork there encourages not just me, my also other fellow creatives.
So, Mohammed, you have an artistic name, Leon D. What's the story of the name?
So Leon comes from the days where we used to do murals and graffiti. Internationally, especially a lot of graffiti artists tend to have or a graffiti name rather than do graffiti with their actual names. Some art work underground or some are popular, but the graffiti name is a thing, or the street art name is a thing. It's catchy. I wanted mine to be associated with both Bahrain, but have some significance. So Leon by itself has a lot of reference. It's lion, so it's associated with all that courage and God knows all the positive, awesome things. But Leon, I chose it because it's a Greek or has Greek origins, and Bahrain at some part was Greek, right? So I wanted the name to ring or have its own ring, both historically and for it to have a significance or has significance of its own.
That's very cool. Thank you very much, Mohammed, for being with us today in this episode of Connected from Home. It was a pleasure, and keep up the good work. And perhaps, I don't know, we're waiting to witness more international participation and you raising Bahrain's flag up high.
Firstly, thank you for having me in your show. Thank you, Eva, for the lovely interview. And yeah, being able to show myself as an individual artist and representing Bahrain is an honor. And I would love to do more exhibitions internationally, locally, and be able to share more positive work with the people.
Thank you very much.
This is the end of today's episode of Connected from Home. See you next week, and remember to stay home, stay safe.